Now, last week, Bwana Brighton Elliot Moyo died, and he was buried. Yeah. Now, what does this mean? What is really happening here? Yeah, we shall dig deeper into this. Yeah, and find out exactly what is unfolding here, and present some new insights many of you may never have considered. Yeah, we'll do that immediately after the brief upcoming commercial break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, Brighton Moyo incidentally was a Zimbabwean. Yeah, he was not a South African national. A lot of Zimbabweans crossed the border into South Africa to seek work, yeah, to seek a better life. And the late Brighton Elliot Moyo, was one of these very many Zimbabweans working in South Africa. Now, it is reported that Brighton developed very serious stomach problems. Yeah, he was complaining of stomach pains. His stomach swelled for 3 consecutive days, and then he died. Now, his death has shocked very many people, and quite rightly so. If the good Lord decides to bring somebody back to life, it's usually for a purpose. And of course, we know God is not limited. God can do anything. Yeah. But there's a lot of doubt here, because why bring somebody back to life to live only a few days full of controversy over the alleged being brought back to life, and then they finally die? It doesn't make sense. Now, interestingly, other reports have also come to light that the late Elliot tried to recruit some of his co-workers at the place where he works in South Africa. Yeah. And not recruit them to be members of the church, to recruit them to do certain things, certain, if I can just say, special projects for the church, which again raises even more doubt as to the kind of life the late Bwana Moyo lived, and what kind of principles he stood by. You see, God cannot be mocked. It is impossible to mock God. Even when you think you're mocking God, in the end, it is you who will be mocked. It's not possible to mock God. God cannot be mocked. And the truth is, this alleged miracle, nobody in the world believes. The reason why the video went viral was not because it happened. It's not because most people believe Elliot actually came back from the dead. Yeah, it is because of the comedy surrounding the whole drama. Even the pastor himself, Alf Lukau, a Congolese national operating in South Africa, backpedaled after the video went viral. He vehemently denied that he had brought anybody back from the dead, despite the fact that the coffin was removed from the hearse and put on a table, which was conveniently there, for better view, for better video photography, so that everybody sees what is happening. No death certificate, no doctor anywhere in sight who can say he actually pronounced the person dead before. Nothing like that. Just stories all over the place. He said, I said, we saw, we did, nothing verifiable. In sharp contrast to another case I'm going to talk about shortly, which also happened in Africa, indeed very close to Kenya, in neighboring Rwanda. Now, because we know that God is more than able, that bringing people back from the dead is no big deal, the fact that these people played this stunt, trying to make a mockery of the whole thing, trying to show people even in future that nobody can be brought back from the dead unless it's a comedy. This young man was getting involved in things he did not understand. This young man was playing with fire. And in so many ways, including the fact that he made himself vulnerable to the spirits of death. You lie inside a coffin, and you're not doing a movie, you're not doing anything worthwhile. What you're doing is trying to fool the world while trying to make some money. So why should the spirit of death not attack you? Why should the spirit of death not subdue you so that finally you die for real? Now, at the time of making this video, it is not clear whether the late Elliot Moyo was buried in South Africa or he was transported all the way back to his native Zimbabwe, because obviously transporting his body all the way back would have involved enormous expense, which maybe would have been footed by the church, and his pastor, Alf Lukau. But the latest reports indicate that Pastor Alf Lukau was nowhere in sight. He was nowhere to be seen when all this was unfolding. Now, many of you are also aware that we have a similar case in Kenya, at least very closely similar, of a woman called Rosa Chepchesau Samson. Now, this woman recently passed on and was buried. And this is the woman who in June 2017 was allegedly brought back from the dead. She had died for a few hours, and prayers, brought her back to life. Now, get me right. I'm not saying it is not true that she died and was brought back to life. But what I'm saying is that these two cases are very similar in the sense that somebody dies, is brought back to life, but does not live long enough to proclaim the goodness of the one who brought them back to life. And so it becomes puzzling. It becomes controversial. It becomes difficult to understand. Now, controversial, really, and difficult to understand at this kind of circumstances are not the kind of circumstances to be linked to God Almighty. God Almighty is clear. We may not understand, a lot of things that are happening, but finally they make sense. And maybe finally the death of Rosa will make sense. I don't know. But from where I sit currently, it makes zero sense to me. And I'll tell you why. There's another case, a genuine case of somebody who died for 7 days, was declared dead by a medical doctor. There were several witnesses in the room, who were sure he was very dead, so much so that when he came back to life, they took off. They said they had seen a ghost. But there's more. The story that this man had to tell is not the kind of story you can make up. No way. And that one makes sense. His story, at least to me, makes perfect sense. And that's why I'm contrasting his case with these other recent cases. Now, let me not keep you in suspense. We'll go into that very amazing story, unforgettable story. If you're to miss a story, this is definitely not one you want to miss.